What's up, YouTube? So one of the most prominent questions I've seen in the past few weeks on my channel is, should I upgrade to Windows 11 or should I buy a computer that comes pre-installed with Windows 11, or some question with that variation? And it's a legitimate question. I'll be honest, I'm a huge Windows guy. I get super excited every time there's a new version of Windows coming out, and of course, I was super excited for Windows 11. Now with that said, there are a few really important factors to consider before you make the jump to Windows 11 or buy a machine with Windows 11. And hopefully I can give you a high-level summary of what those factors might be and why you might want to hold your horses. Of course, as always, if you guys enjoyed the content, hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel. It genuinely helps me grow and it'll put a smile on this lovely face. Now, for the duration of this video, we're gonna assume that you meet the minimum requirements to install Windows 11. If you haven't already checked those out, you can check that at Microsoft's official site. I'll leave a link in the video description below. Of course, keeping that in mind, just because you do meet the requirements to get Windows 11, and this is more so for people who are upgrading, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a silky smooth experience. While Microsoft does test as many possible hardware configurations, one of the beauties of the PC industry is you can mesh a lot of different combinations of hardware, especially if you're building a custom machine. With that said, keep in mind when you install Windows 11, there is a small chance that you may have something like incompatible drivers, certain applications or hardware applications not working as intended. You may find that your GPU may not have the full support it did in Windows 10. And while to some extent this is normal, these problems are more prevalent in the earlier life cycle of any given Windows release. And I can almost wholeheartedly guarantee you Windows 11 will not be any exception to that rule. So keep that in mind. This brings us to one of the most important factors to consider before jumping to Windows 11, and that's performance. I know a lot of gamers and people who use pretty resource-intensive applications are making a jump to Windows 11. And while some of these people are going to be just fine because they've got some pretty powerful rigs that have a ton of RAM, pretty powerful processors, and GPUs, a lot of people are using low to mid-range specs. And for those people, this is definitely going to be something that they're going to notice in terms of performance. So if you follow Chris Titus Tech, who is a fantastic YouTuber, he's an expert on operating systems. In his test, pretty recently, mind you, he found that Windows 11 uses about 500 to 600 more megabytes of RAM compared to the current build of Windows 10. And while of course this will get better over time to optimizations, Windows 11 is a more hungry system. He also found in that same video, mind you, that Windows 11 at stock configuration is running about 130 to 136 processes at any given time versus the 110 to 116 processes you find on stock Windows 10. So again, Windows 11 is more demanding. There are no two ways about it. Also, if you've been watching Linus lately, you'll notice that he actually made a video about gaming performance on Windows 11 versus Windows 10. And he did some pretty detailed tests. And again, he found that on some machines, not all, but some machines, the performance difference on the exact same game with the same specification between the two operating systems is as much as 25%. And that's quite the difference. That usually translates into lower frame rates or lower graphical settings because again, these systems are using more resources. And again, if you are someone with a mid-range hardware, you're going to notice these more dramatically than people who are in the PC elite world using some of the best hardware out there. So definitely keep this in mind, especially if you are someone who really enjoys using certain demanding applications. Microsoft isn't joking when they say that Windows is always evolving. I mean, literally, they shove as many updates down your operating system as possible. And while this does get better over time, Windows 11 just came out, which means it's literally going to get updates one after another. And by the way, that's totally cool. Updates usually means that the operating system is being refined or vulnerabilities are being patched up. So of course they are in a way essential. But the way Microsoft delivers them really hasn't changed all that much with Windows 11. And if you are someone who doesn't like frequent updates, well, like any Windows release, it's gonna have a ton of updates, especially I'd say in the first 12 or so months. So keep that in mind. Again, this is a relatively small factor of consideration, but some people do genuinely hate updates all the time. So again, Windows 11, new operating system, likely to have lots of updates, completely normal. Now, the final people I want to reach out to are the ones who are kind of in this super blessed time. So every once in the blue moon, when Microsoft releases a new window, there's this magical window get it, window, where you can actually buy a computer with the operating system of your choice. In this case, that choice usually pertains around buying a computer that comes with Windows 10 with the upgradability option to Windows 11 at a later time, or you can buy a computer that's OEM stock Windows 11. And honestly, there's very little reason to get the Windows 11 variant if you can get the Windows 10 one. And here's why. You can always upgrade, usually with the same specifications, to the Windows 11 version whenever you feel like it, because Windows 11 is free. However, if you want to stick to Windows 10 for whatever reason, and these reasons aren't always apparent, it could be for performance reasons, compatibility, or like I said, other reasons, you have the option of both operating systems. You can stay on Windows 10 as long as you want and upgrade to Windows 11 at a later date. So honestly, for those of you who are asking, should I get the 11 variant or the 10 variant, usually assuming you're getting the exact same specification, the only difference is the operating system that's on there. So get two for the price of one, which means get Windows 10 and upgrade to Windows 11. Heck, do it the next day if you want to, but get Windows 10 so you can always go back, or you can stay on Windows 10 until you're ready to upgrade. So really, it's a win-win to get that one. And this won't stay for very long, obviously. Once we reach a certain point, Windows 10 won't be sold as OEM equipment anymore, and that means you'll lose your window of opportunity per se. So there's that answer for you. As always, if you guys found this content to be helpful, hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel, it genuinely helps me. And like I said, Windows 11 is awesome, it really is. I'm a huge Windows fan, but having bugs ironed out in the beginning is totally normal. It's usually part of Microsoft's lifecycle. In fact, it's lifecycle of any software for that matter. So keep that in mind. It's better to hold off if you don't need Windows 11 right away and wait at least a couple of months before you go. That way you get a much smoother experience. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.